Well, Jimbo Fisher is one of 5 college football coaches that have actually won a national title that's active. You got Dabo, and you got Saban, and now Kirby Smart, Mac Brown, and Jimbo Fisher. He was the first Saban assistant to come back and beat him, and they beat him last year, and his recruiting's on an absolute roll. And, you know, he gets out there sometimes, and, you know, these little publicity skirmishes. He's like a talk show host. He's just out firing shots. Jimbo Fisher's joining us live. And, you know, I did defend you when Saban came after you. I said, give me a break on this stuff. Nick, don't be a hypocrite on this stuff. Here is so I'm a fan of the transfer portal because I think kids change their mind, coaches leave. I'm a fan of the NIL. But as a diehard college football fan, here's where I'm at with this stuff, Jimbo, and I'm not blaming anybody. Hell, I don't even know what's legal. I thought NIL was name, image, likeness for active college players. Now it looks like you can go out and buy a high schooler. I don't love that. Are you what do you ever say to yourself, can we do this? Can we do that? Is it confusing to coaches?
It's very confusing because, Colin, it's based off your state laws. The NCAA does not has these regulations. Their regulation is based off each individual state law. Some guys can offer high school kids. Some guys can have written offers for them, do the whole thing. And in some states, you can even get NIL as a high school player. In our state, we can't even have a conversation about NIL. We can say our players have NILs. They do it to guys that are here, but we cannot even talk about NIL to a player with any kind of offer or anything in that regard. So everybody's offering – I mean, everybody's on a different rule set. There's no standard. It's all based off everybody's own state laws.
That is crazy. So Kirk Ferentz said yesterday, and Pat Fitzgerald said this, and I agree with him. Pat said the games have never been better. The athletes have never been better, and the sport's never been more chaotic. I believe the sport needs a czar, a scheduling czar, and a CEO. Your take on that?
100%. I'm for that 100%, and I think unification and officiating, the same officials. There's no conflict. Everything is to a school. You pay them as full time. We're in a multi-billion-dollar business. And we're paying officials and not, have them full-time. I think that should be a full-time job for them. They have other jobs on the side. That's fine. But, I mean, train them, send them out of the right place. I mean, unification of scheduling, everything in college football should be under one, as you say, czar, in my opinion, one set of rules.
So, Jimbo, I look at your schedule, and it's funny. So everybody guys like me, I love USC, UCLA to the big conference, Texas, Oklahoma. But then I look at your schedule, and I think to myself – at one point, you have Miami and Cristobal. Arkansas was probably the shock in the country last year. At Mississippi State, at Bama, at South Carolina. Then it's Lane Kiffin, Florida, at Auburn. I think to myself, what if I threw Oklahoma into that? Have you ever said to anybody in the SEC, guys, y'all want to keep adding teams? At some point, it's like an NFL schedule. You don't get a break. Like if I ran your program, I'd be like, why do I have to play Miami? If next year, your take on that.
I'm with you 100%, Colin. I mean, welcome to the SEC. It's the closest to the NFL of any conference in football. I'm not trying to slight anybody else, but the number of the players, the quality of the programs, and the importance that football is to them. And like you say, but I think in the future, what they're trying to do is they're trying to round it out where you're, like, for instance, we're in the SEC West, and I think in the new rules when we add, I think we're going to mix up and play more Eastern teams. Eastern teams are going to play more Western teams. And you're not all the way set in with just only the West schedule plus a couple of your Eastern schedules.
Yeah.
I think it's actually going to balance the scheduling out a lot more because in the SEC, it's always been sometimes the East is really good. Sometimes the West is really good or better. I say they're both always really good. But one side's better than the other. And I think the new rules, when we do add, I think it's actually going to balance the scheduling out more than it is right now, if you believe that or not.
So Jimbo Fisher joining us. Listen, I know Nick and like Nick. I got no problem. But I think sometimes he gets a little pious up there. You dominate for a long time and you see the world through your tunnel, and that's the only way you see it. Today, this morning, if he called you, would you pick the phone up and talk to him?
Yeah, me and Nick, we're moved past it. Okay. You understand something? We drank the same water growing up. When you're coming from West Virginia, you're fighting, scratching, clawing for everything you got. We have, and people in our state and where I grew up and the way I grew up, what was on your mind came out your lips, okay? And then you moved in 5 minutes later, you said what you said, and you either fought over it, got in a fight over it, and then played 5 minutes later, or you said okay and you walked off and you played 5 minutes later. He's the same. We're cut from the same cloth. We're both competitive, and that's just the way it is. I mean, and I have respect for Nick, like I said before, and we're fine, 100%.
Jimbo, I don't like the second signing date in college football, and here's why. Because I think it tears away at the quality of life of the young people on your staff, that you never get a vacation. I think it's horrible. If I ran it, I'd hire a scheduling czar, and there's one signing date, and I would also make the transfer portal. You can transfer all year except Labor Day to the end of the regular season. You can't transfer in a season as a player, either can a coach. But I look at your schedule, and I get more vacation time than you, and I think to myself, how long can you coach at your level before it's complete, utter burnout? Do you ever feel that?
Yeah, it's totally changed. I mean, the visits in June and the May, the spring visits, and like you said, I like to have one signing day. I like the early signing day. I think it's the best. I really do. But I would cut out. You and I are thinking on the same track here. And I do think the way recruiting is, because we're recruiting 2 and 3 and 4 classes at a time, and every weekend except for the 4 weekends, we're dead. And we have a dead period in February, but we're working on ball, getting ready for spring practice. You're working with your players. The only 3 or 4 weekends we get off is those at the end of June and 1st of July, and we're back on track. That is it per year. Every other time of the year, every weekend, we have players here, we're recruiting, we're coaching, something is going on. And you are right. I'm worried about the longevity of some of these guys and what it does to the family life for things that are going on in college football right now. 100%.
Yeah. So, okay, you're going to be very good. I know that.
Yep.
When you have a great program and you bring in these 5-star kids, and you had the class last year, I'm a 5-star kid.
Okay,
and you're recruiting me. I want to play. I don't want to sit on the bench. But you have a bunch of 5-star kids. You are getting to a point in your program that you have so many NFL bodies that you're going to go out and recruit, and people are going to recruit against Jimbo and say, you're not going to play. He's got 3 NFL corners. You're not going to play at A&M. Do you sense now you're moving into that space where people are using that against you? Is you just can't go to A&M and play very quickly?
100% right now. We're getting that in recruiting right now. They're saying, well, they just and my thing is this. You mean we think more of you than they do? I mean, why can't you play? Or we think you can. And I'm going to tell you what, where you get better is who you go against on a daily basis every day in practice. And you're going to line up and practice against these guys each and every day. And I think that's where you get better. And I'm going to tell you one statement, and I say this all the time, Colin. I've never had a great player, guys that are truly great players, ever ask me about the depth chart. I mean, I'll give you a quick story, and I'll tell you about Jalen.
Sure.
I know Jalen Ramsey.
Sure.
When he came, we had 4 returning. We had LaMarcus Joyner, P.J. Williams, Terrence Brooks, and Ronald Darby. All 4 first, second-round draft picks that are still playing in the NFL on their after 8 years. He was a freshman coming in the year we won the national championship. Jalen said, Coach, I'm going to start day 1. I said, Jalen, I ain't seen it. If you're the best player, you're going to start. We had 4 returning guys. They're all top 2-round draft picks. He started day 1. and we moved another guy to nickel, and then we had the best. And that whole secondary to this day is still playing in the NFL 8 years later.
That's a good.
But what I'm saying is the truly great players. I remember Michael Clayton was a guy. I mean, the guys that we've had here, some of the great players, have never asked me about who we have or what goes on. They think somebody else is going to have to move. Dalvin Cook was that way. I mean, Derwin James was that way. Guys, in this group here saying it, Coach, I'm not being arrogant to the guys we have, but we're coming in there to play. I say, come to play. And the competition, the truly great players love the competition, and it's working out. And I think that's how you build great programs, just like we did at Florida State, and just like we're starting to establish here.
Okay, I want you to recruit me right now, and I'm the recruit. I say, Jimbo, it's hot in Texas. Oh, my good Lord, Jimbo. Boy, that Sark guy, boy, he really sells me. Oh, boy, sell me.
Listen, here's what A&M has. It has the most complete package of any school in the country. When you're talking about culture of university, this place is unbelievable. When you get here and you'll see it, the commitment that people have. It's the top 20 educational school in the country. Education's through the roof. The commitment that we have made to for instance, right now, we're building a new $160 million facility right now that's going to be state-of-the-art, which no one in the country is going to have for your personal development and what we have. We have coaches that won the 5 coaches that have won a national championship.
Ooh.
We have coaches that have put as many NFL players in the NFL as we can. Afterwards, you're talking about this. We're the 6th richest school in the country with an $18 billion endowment for life after ball. You're talking about one of the 2 largest alumni associations in the country at 550,000 alums. There's 109,000 people at every game. You're playing an SEC schedule each and every time. And here's the important thing. Do you want to go somewhere that has won a championship, or you want to be the first to do it? The people you remember, the guys that really make a difference in the world, are the guys that are the first to do it. If you go somewhere else and just be another guy, you're just another guy. Come here and be the first guy to ever do it and set the standard for a new organization. Those are the ones that got statues outside that they talk about all the time.
That's pretty good sales pitch, Jimbo. That's pretty good. I didn't know all that alumni stuff. I like that. Wish I could play.
You do now. I mean, this school here, when you dig into it, Colin, that's what I tell people. When they get here, not just see facilities, but the commitment and how this place is. 550,000 living alums. You got one of the six. The commitment to the student athlete after ball is as good as the best there is anywhere in the country.
Boy, if you signed 4 recruits today, I better get a cut on that. I'll tell you that right there.
I'll send you your tape. You just got to keep me on the show. You got to keep me going on the show.
All right. So they had number 1 recruiting class, 8 5-star recruits. They play Bama October 8, which is going to get a lot of publicity.
Yep.
And I'd never talked to you before. You know, you make college football good. I like guys that spar out there. I like that whole Texas thing going on right now, and I wish you the best of luck going forward.
Thank you very much. Hey, just think, what would you be doing in May and this summer right now if I wasn't arguing with somebody?
Jimbo Fisher. That was a good sales
Thank you,
pitch.
Colin.
That was a big one right there.
Well, the alumni thing is not something that you're thinking about, when you're going into college. But it's a big thing that USC has, I think, going for them too. Like a lot of these really big schools with strong alumni base, when you're done playing, or if you don't make it to the pros, you put that on your resume when you're going to a company. Like there's a lot of powerful people that want to hire,
I remember
alums.
Kentucky, the one and done culture. Calipari really seized it quickly, and for about 6-7 years, they were crushing everybody in recruiting. And then Duke kind of caught up to them. And one of the things Duke sold to players, and Calipari kind of fired back at it, was Duke. I mean, Kentucky's fine, but this is Duke. You play at Duke, you'll be supported by Duke forever.
Alumni, yes.
And, and Calipari said, oh, come on, nonsense. But it matters to an 18-year-old.
Once you get into the perspective of, like, what am I going to do when my career is over? What kind of connections do I want to have? I mean, that's part of going to school, is to set yourself up for success for the rest of your life. Those things are important.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.